Philip, ready to rock and roll?
Ready to rock and roll, man.
Let's do it.
Here we are live from 22nd Street Landing. This is veteran Captain Danny Kadota. It's great to be with y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to let you all know right now that we have a huge raffle on Tackle Shop Confessions tonight. 2 rods, $5. There's the info right in front of you there. Danny Kadota promises he's not going to win both rods tonight. I don't believe you, Danny. He's already thrown in $652. Why $652? I have no idea. But man, I'll tell you, this is a great day because, Danny, we get to break some news. The bluefin tuna bite in San Diego has been horrible. It's been very, very, very slow. We're at the full moon, and Captain Justin on the Aztec just sent me a text. He said, Phil, limits of bluefin tuna. First of our 2.5 day trip. First time we've seen that in a while.
Stuff.
Daytime stuff. Here we go, right? It's starting to bite a little bit, and we are really, really happy about it. What do you think?
You know what? The fish go up, the fish go down. You know what I mean? It's just, and we can never, ever call those shots. You know, we look at moon phases. We study it so hard, we drive ourselves nuts. And, you know, I had a friend that used to have this saying. He said, the fish will be where they want to be. And I go, you know, that's pretty close to what really is out there, because as much as you calculate, formulate things in your head, and plan stuff and figure, okay, with the moon and this and that, the tide, it's never on.
You never know, right?
You just don't know.
It's part of the fun of it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
you have better odds during certain times, certain times.
Yeah, right.
Moon phase and things like that, but nothing is ever guaranteed in fishing.
No, I mean, for example, we did a 5-day trip in April, which can be a dicey kind of. I mean, people will tell you, "Oh man, I'm never going on an April 5 day. I'm not doing it." We had awesome bluefin tuna fishing, and all these people who've been out the last 2 weeks in August, they think they're guaranteed of a blue, and you're not guaranteed of anything.
It's fishing, folks.
Yeah, man. My son Philip was on board the Ocean Odyssey. Danny, you'll be very proud of my oldest son Philip. He was on the Ocean Odyssey the last 2 days. They had 7 bluefin for the whole group, 2-day trip. They had 3 fish on the troll, and they had 2 fish on the poppers and 2 fish on bait. Philip had all 4 of those.
Oh my God!
With 25
Chip
guys
off the
on
old
there.
block, huh?
Man, he really put it to him. He did great.
Yeah,
He had
that's awesome.
2 fish on the poppers. He caught the first fish on the popper, and then each subsequent fish he handed off. So he got another one on the popper, and then he fished. He goes, Dad, the minute I was fishing 40-pound, I could see they wanted nothing to do with it. I dropped down to 25. Boom, got bit.
You know, and you remember back in the old days, all we ever fished bluefin with was with 15. You know, when it was touching number 6 hook. You know, I mean, and this is before fluorocarbon, but I mean, you know, it wasn't a wide open deal. I mean, you know, nowadays we're getting a little spoiled.
Yeah, oh my God, we're beyond
how many
spoiled.
over 100 did you get? You know, what do you mean over 100?
Right.
You know, it's, you know.
We're beyond spoiled.
Yeah. So, you know, we have to get a grip, guys. It's getting back to real fishing, you know, and it's like anything else. You just say you have to figure it out. And so your son knows. Typically, that's the quickest way to get a bluefin. If you've seen a show and not get him, drop down on line size.
Yes.
Hook size. You know, there's a lot of different things, but that's going to be a key. If they're around and they don't, you know, you can't get them to bite, you have to drop down.
I maintain that strategy works for calico bass. It works for everything, doesn't it?
Absolutely. There's a thing, too, even like when we fished on the lakes, you know, you look at some of the guys down south and back east, and they were fishing heavy line. You know, we're out here, we're fishing 6, 8, and 10 for these for these trophy fish, these world record size fish. And, you know, so there's a point, too, where in our heads, and coming from the saltwater side, and fishing bluefin and things like that with light line, we assess that, too. And, you know, we were blessed being around a lot of I was blessed to be around a lot of sport fishing captains that we were very competitive. Not only on the ocean, but on the lakes. It might have been even worse. You know, Terra's, Sansom Brothers, you know, Johnny Lloyd, Taka,
very competitive people.
Everybody. Oh, my God.
Cutthroat.
Unbelievable. But, you know, here you got an unbelievable group of fishermen. And what are we doing? We're dropping down on line size.
Yeah.
So those are something that's pretty consistent when it gets to, fish that are pretty wily and wary of hook sizes, line size, the way your presentation sits, So if it's more natural, by implementing light line, smaller hooks, that's what gets the bite. And that's, we're blessed to have that background behind us, from, fishing bluefin with super light line, small hooks, anchovies, and kind of brought it across the board into our freshwater fishing with largemouth.
Yep.
And that seems to have worked pretty well for all of us.
Absolutely. Hey, Danny, you know Mark Sonoda on the Amigo, right? Mm-hmm. He got his license. I think I told you that last night. Captain's license.
Ah, awesome.
And he is running the El Patron, where Anthony, sitting out here, is a deckhand most of the time, but Anthony's going to be fishing on the El Patron. I know that Mark had a nice big white sea bass over there at Catalina. I think I saw a bunch of barracuda. Calico bass fishing's been good. He's an exceptional fisherman, and more than anything, he's a great comedian when he's up there on the bay tank, man.
That's something I wanted to ask you guys. Were you able to be around and throw him in for his celebration?
Not yet, but we definitely got to do that and film that. He's going in the water.
That would be awesome.
He's big enough to just pick him up and throw him in, right?
Yeah.
So Mark's doing a great job. Any of you who know him.
That's awesome.
Any of you who know him.
Get it on camera.
From the Amigo. He's on the El Patron now. He'll be running the boat tomorrow. Anthony's going to be there. Chuck Zimmer from Z Custom Rods is going to be there, bringing his son Charlie, I believe, and another kid along for the ride. Maybe Ron will be going fishing, another Friedman Adventures family member. So it's all fantastic stuff. I'm going to read some of the comments here in a moment, but just again, want to reemphasize the Aztec has called in here to the Danny Kadota Show with limits of bluefin tuna for the first of a 2.5-day trip.
That's awesome.
Departure from the slower fishing that we've been seeing, and high hopes that the light switch is on. And as I've been saying, Danny, now the question is, will they bite tonight? That is the question.
Because
they haven't been biting at night.
Yeah, and it's brutal. I mean, what these poor crew
I know
have to put up with fishing these day and night bites. I mean, we were blessed. Long before we even put out, we never even thought about putting out baits at night, unless we were down at the rocks or something.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, now it's part of that's part of the whole program.
Yep.
The night bite, and it's brutal because I talked to my brother who's still running boats, and I go, how do you guys do it? You got to rotate the crew around and everything else. It's brutal.
I know. I want no part of it.
To be on deck day and night.
Oh my God. It is so tough. Big raffle tonight on Tackle Shop Confessions. 2 rods going out. Almost $1,000 in product. And there's the info right there. Chuck Zimmer. Send him a text for more information. 310-918-1448. The other thing before I get to the comments, Danny, worth mentioning is, man, the Coronado Islands are back. San Diego yesterday. $1.30 on the yellowtail. 3 bluefin tuna. Tremendous fishing.
Islands, that's great.
And not rats. Nice, grade yellows.
That's terrific. That's terrific.
You certainly had seen some of those days in the old
those days
time.
at the Coronados. That was fun.
Yep. Fishing is starting to bounce back again. Not that it was ever that poor. I mean, like Danny said, we're spoiled. We're totally spoiled.
Oh, yeah.
That is part of the problem here.
Yep.
You want to read a couple of comments?
Yeah, let's go for it.
How about Dan Lightfoot in Arizona? Instead of being here, I can't yank on his mustache today. Very sad. I might have to yank on Anthony's mustache. Anthony's too big for me to yank on his mustache. Dan, I think I might even be able to beat up on a good day. What's going on, you guys? He's just wanted to say hello. And Mackie's saying the same. Mad Dog saying hello to everybody. Dan Lightfoot, Anthony, what's going on? You're not working for a change. Yeah, Anthony's been burning it at both ends. No question about it. Working his tail off. We're so happy that he's on board the El Patron. Also, Andrew H. Hey, Andrew, good to have you with us. Hey, Danny and Phil, as wedding gift, I got the groom a Saltiga 35, but I want to get him a 2-day trip, but don't know what boat to choose. Shoot, the Apollo with Friedman Adventures, September 23rd.
There you go.
And then we've got an October 3rd? 5th trip on board the Amigo. If either one of those work out, Andrew, let me know. And we'll do that. Other than that, man, I mean, there's a ton of great boats out there. My son Philip raved about the Ocean Odyssey. Captain Rick Scott, he said the crew was fantastic. The food was great. And this is on a trip where they didn't catch much. So that's when you can kind of get picky about stuff. Some people get picky. Not my son Philip. He'll have fun no matter what.
Oh, that's
and he
awesome.
said the crew was great. So there's
great.
a lot of great boats out there for sure. Man, Mackie should go with you guys tomorrow. Dan Smith from San Diego, California, USA. Hello, Phil, Danny, and all you great fishers of the Friedman Adventures family. Come on, yellowfin tuna, come up the line. Kim is ready. Seeing some yellowfin down there at 140 miles, 5 to 8 pound fish. But Danny, I made the point that more importantly, if those little yellowfin are fine with that water, I mean, the oceanography is comfortable for them, then the big ones could move in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
74-degree water.
They come in overnight, you know. And what was it at the Coronados? Do you have an idea? It was a
Water
big
temp?
difference in water
I
temp?
don't know.
Haven't
The
been
guys
up
that
on
I've
it.
talked to, 70, 71, like that, 74 degrees down where that
Which, you know, for
yellowfin
this
was.
time of year, it's almost a little cool.
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
weird, but it's been, I mean, it's been a weird summer.
Well, I've been looking at
Yeah,
what NOAA's projection is,
Yeah.
and they're like 50%, it's going to remain neutral to 50% leaning toward a La Nina, which means cooler water.
Yeah.
And we do seem to be moving into a cooler water kind of regimen right now. But even in those cooler water years, sometimes you'll get a streak of just hot water on the coast that extends from pretty far down the Baja Peninsula up into SoCal, maybe even north of there. And those yellowfin ride right up there with the Dorado and everything else.
That's true. That's true.
So it's going to be an exciting year. Dan, we're with you, man. Hoping that's going to come together. Chivo Robledo, who's been fishing with Anthony every single week. He's saying, hello, gentlemen. Chivo, always great to have you with us. And Robert Brashaw is saying, push them up. And we do have 2 hurricanes down below that are starting
That
to
could
bump
do it.
up against that.
That
So
could
that's
do it.
starting to push it up. Once again, the raffle tonight on Tackle Shop Confessions. We have got a TTR 880, a 15 to 30 pound rod, custom wrapped by Z Custom Rods, works of art, masterpieces. At least that's what Chuck Zimmer wanted me to say. And a Seeker CLB 804, 10 to 25 pound. They truly are beautiful rods. There is no doubt about it. So what do you think, man? Are we going to end up catching this bluefin again? Is it just a temporary lull in the bite?
You know, it's Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. It's Mother Nature. You know, last I heard, those long finners were still up at, you know, the California,
What is
Oregon.
with
type
that?
of-
Are
you
we
know,
ever
it's-
going to get an albie bite
No,
in here
you know,
again?
and I've been hearing about, you know, some small chovies and stuff down in our area down here in Southern Cal, you know. And so we'll see. I mean, that's what it's going to take.
Up in STI the other day.
Oh, cool.
this big.
Little ones. I heard, yeah. I heard little ones. But you know what? If that's what it takes to get them down here.
Yeah,
you know,
once that water...
it's just hard to put it, you know, you guys are going to have to fish how to fish the light line and small hooks again. That's it. You probably fish the albacore like bluefin.
Well,
you know?
there's been a little bit of that going on here.
Yeah.
Guys have had to get used to that a little bit more.
Well, brings back, you know, a little talent fishing here.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
It's going to take, it'll separate the men from the boys on that.
Yeah, I know Dave sitting out here in our studio audience at 22nd Street's a guy that knows how to fly line a chovy, man. That
You've
was
been around, yeah.
part of the deal, man.
Absolutely.
I
That's-
used to love doing
Well,
that.
that's old school guys, man. That's, yeah.
In Redondo, man, where that bluefin would get in the bay there and catch those things on 12 pound. We'd fish 12.
Yep.
You had to.
Yep.
You were not going to get a bite.
Nope.
Man,
nope.
those were fun
Your
days.
reels had to be tuned up, you know, and thank God for newel parts.
Yeah, right.
You know, because we were spreading plastic spools back in those days with mono, you know. And now it's different. You know, you guys can use super fine, you know, braid, you know, and just top shot it with fluorocarbon. Although with bluefin, and I learned this on our trip with all the captains on the Freedom, is I had to lengthen out my intermediate area, which I had my braid. I had a longer length of mono.
How long?
I think it was about 40, 50 feet.
Okay.
You know, and then I had my top shot.
Why do you have
fluoro.
that mono? Why is that important?
You know, with
Does it give a
bluefin,
little
I think
cushion,
it's
or-
the eyes.
Uh-huh.
I think they're seeing it.
Okay.
'Cause, you know, in a real hot bite, you can go from braid to like 6, 7, 8 feet of fluoro, and with a long cast. And you know, if I'm throwing a 9-foot rod, I can get it out there. You get bit immediately. But you know, bluefin are bluefin, and they have the best eyes in the business. And you know, I had to formulate that on that trip.
Yes, I
Right?
remember.
And I started with light line, you know, I started with 28. And I was casting with the 9-foot. I was casting out past those guys, but I had a short top shot of fluoro to Spectra, thinking that the longer cast, and then it's dawning on me, you dummy, it's bluefin, they can see it. So I went to 25, and I think I had a little longer length of mono on it,
Yeah.
but not real long. So I says, oh, what the heck? My 30-pound had a longer length of mono, and that's what I was, thank God that's what I got bit on, because they were bigger fish.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, so to have that 30-pound made a big difference.
How many fish? You waxed everybody on that
And
trip.
that was a
You
fun
did
trip.
good.
That was a fun trip.
And all those old guys, man. I mean,
That's what made it more fun.
Pat Whitaker was there.
These are all guys that we grew up with, Phil.
I know.
That's
exactly,
what made it fun.
man. There
Yeah.
were some crazy people
Yeah,
on that
Conklin.
trip.
Oh my God.
Conklin, Pat
Yeah.
Whitaker, Larry Moore.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, you name it.
It was
There
a
was a whole
blast.
bunch of great
It was a
people on
blast.
there. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad I
Yeah.
got to videotape that.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, because it's so competitive. You know, I'm looking at my guys that I'm fishing with, right? And your decisions to change over to longer lengths even mono made a difference there. You know, lengthen out my mono, because I'm so used to making. If you make a long cast with fluorocarbon, usually hits the water and boom, you're bit. But you know, when I did get bit, I'm watching these guys get bit on straight mono. I'm going, uh-oh, got to lengthen it out. So I went progressed to my 25, which had a little longer, and they still won't eat it. So I had the long length of mono on my 30, and here you go. Here I'm going up in weight class. Thank God, because of the size of the fish.
Yeah, right.
You know, but you know, you have to figure that thing out. You have to figure it out. You know, you look in your head, you're thinking, okay, the light line should get bit. But it's not true, because I went through that whole process of fishing, you know, from 20 to 25, and then finally to 30, and it had to do with the length of mono and fluoro, you know, whereas the short fluoro to Spectra, I can make a long cast, but the bluefin were looking at it, they were seeing it,
Yeah.
and they weren't getting bit.
Yeah.
Because
makes sense.
I was throwing way past those guys, but I didn't get bit. So you know, in your head, you got to make these decisions, people. You'll see it and watch, and
You got to adapt, right?
you got to adapt. You got to adapt, and you got to keep changing things. And you got to keep, you know, quantifying things in your head as far as, okay, what do I do? Drop down on hook size lines. You know, it's going to be something. Even position of your baiting the hook. You know, and I started back hooking them too, and that made a difference when we started going. So there's a lot of little things.
100%. Hey, Charles Zimmer says he'll see Chivo on the El Patron tomorrow. That's going to be a party tomorrow. El Patron, www.longbeachsportfishing.org. Anthony, Chuck Zimmer, Chivo. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys can get out there. Dan Lightfoot says hit that like button so he doesn't have to see Danny Kadota break into tears tonight. Mackie says, Danny, has there ever been a fish you bounced you probably shouldn't have bounced? That's a really good question, Mackie. I can think of some of those things I've screwed up before.
You know, when
Has
it
there
came
ever been
to,
one that the line broke or you couldn't get it over the rail? Or
you know, I was a lot sloppier when I was running boats, because you're fishing every day, and you know, if you throw a fish on and it comes off, rips off, or whatever, you know, you don't think twice about it.
right, you don't care.
But you know, I look at it now, and I don't bounce them only because I'm fishing straight graphite.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, you could load it. You could point the rod down, get a load on it, and as it's coming up, you better have your finger on the spool releasing line.
Yep.
Because if it comes down and it's still hard, you'll
snap your-
pop.
yeah.
Especially, I'm using, like I said, straight graphite. I think you get away with a lot more if you're fishing a composite rod or a glass rod.
Yeah.
But you know, fishing straight graphite, I'm looking for the straight recoil performance, where they recoil so much quicker than, you know, the rest. That, to me, that's the important part of it.
Yep.
You know.
100%. You know, you make an interesting point, though, for those of us who were in the business at one point in time, like Anthony is now. I mean, you're bouncing fish that you should not be bouncing because you know you're going to get a whole bunch of more opportunities. Whereas the guy that paid his hard-earned money and he's out there twice a year, 3 times a year, dude, get over here with that gaff.
Oh, yeah.
And poke this thing right in the eyeball.
If I was a captain talking to my crew, I'm saying get it on the boat.
Yes.
Get it on the boat.
Right.
Stick it. We'll stick it in the head for you, but lay it out for us, and we'll get it. You know, almost. My kids were good. They were probably 90-something% headshots.
Yes.
A lot of double eyeballs, but they were used to dealing with a lot of Buddha heads that didn't want anything in the meat.
Dude, they give you a look about it. And a look. Yeah. Let me tell you, it even got to the point where we'd be coming home on the searcher, and I'd be up in the bow with Leroy, and we'd see a kelp up in front of us.
Yeah.
And, whoever's up there driving the boat's probably not paying. I mean, they're paying attention.
Yeah.
And so he goes, grab your jig stick, quick. And I'm like, why? And he goes, throw it on that kelp. And I go, are they going to stop? He goes, no, but man, getting spooled on a big fish, on a kelp, how cool is that? And so we did that all the time. Stuff like that. It just... When you're part of the whole thing, and you have so many opportunities.
Yep,
it's different, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. We take that for granted.
We do, man. Robert Graber, who's a great Friedman Adventures family member. Robert, thank you for being with us here. Chivo says, "I'm trying Chuck Z." Chuck, he's got to get permission from his boss. Chivo, I heard you're not feeling good. A little sore throat going on there. Doug Newell says, what weight mono did you have on your 30-pound top shot? So you're fishing 30-pound fluoro. Are you fishing 30-pound mono?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I
match it because you want, if you're tying a knot and if you match diameters, I mean, you could do dissimilar weights as long as it's not that different, I think. I mean, I'm not going to splice 20-pound into 80-pound or something like that. But I have, a very similar diameters that I implement mono to fluoro, And then, like I said, I mean, there's times if it's real super wide open and maybe not a bluefin bite, say the albacore start biting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could use a pretty good length of fluoro to straight spectra. And that way, for me, I get I'm going to get very little elongation. And I could really, put the screws to them with the graphite rod and the little two-speed reels. And, I match my tackle. I take a lot of time, over the years and really matching up my equipment to where you get the max out of it. That's, but we're goofy that way.
Yeah.
That's just the way we've always been,
Talk about bait selection. How important is that in this game?
Oh, that's bait selection is probably the number one, and then a lot of times hook placement, depending on, where you're hooking that bait, makes a difference some days. Whether it's a lower collar hook, nose hook, it depends on the, on the way the fish are reacting. On our trip, on that Freedom trip, again, I went down to, I fished up from lighter line. I wasn't getting bit on lighter line. But I had too short a top shot of fluorocarbon. I'm used to making that long cast and getting bit out there. But when you're looking at bluefin, they got the best size in the business. You need to have, a longer length of mono with your fluorocarbon, they had, like I said, they could tell. And it made a big difference because the minute I did that, I was bit from then on, every cast almost,
Beautiful. Hey, everybody, hit that like button. Lots of people with us. Big raffle tonight. Don't miss it. You can send Chuck Zimmer a text right now if you'd like to get in. That raffle, ETA, I'd say 7:30 p.m. tonight. Whenever Tackle Shop Confessions ends tonight, we will be doing the raffle. And a special guest will be joining us tonight, David Rosenthal from Angle R Pliers. David's a great guy, and I know you're going to enjoy spending some time with him tonight on the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel, Tackle Shop Confessions. But we're here with Danny Kadota. We've got more comments. Let me check this out. Kim Herbert from the great state of Missouri, if I'm right, says hello, Phil and Danny. Danny, you got fans all across the United States, all across the world. Andrew says, he's talking about when he bounced a fish. There was a 1.5 day trip where I hit Brian, the captain, out of Seaforth with a barracuda when I was 7 years old. You ever bounced a fish into anybody?
By
Maybe
accident.
when I was younger.
By accident.
Yeah.
Barracuda.
Sculpin.
Leave a nice bit. Oh, sculpin, that would know. I don't think I mess with the sculpin, but the barracuda would put a nice piece of slime that if you laid down in your bunk, you'd go.
Oh my God! From the slime.
that was by
or
accident,
The
of
smell
course. I
or
would-
both. Friggin' barracuda, man. Once you get around them, just for a little too much, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Anthony's knows what I'm talking about now. Man, slime sticks.
Yep.
Yep. Snot sticks.
You know, they could make a lubricant out of their slime.
They could, man, right?
I think it'd put WD-40 to shame.
Yeah, exactly. Mac even asked the question, what fish hurts the most when getting hit by a pass? When you hit a passer? It's got to be the sculpin, right?
Oh, yeah, if you get hammered. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You know, if
you'll feel it right away.
If the Three Stooges were like into the whole thing, they would have definitely had, Mo bouncing a sculpin into Larry's bush head or whatever, man. That would have been great with that. Boing, boing, boing.
You know Harlan Burke,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Well, Harlan was working for my brother. He and Brian Kihara and all those guys were.
Harlan's old captain down in San Diego.
And Brian Kihara, they were all our deckhand, our crew on the Cherokee from my brother. And then one year we had a tough bite at the rock, and we were down on the rock pile loading up sculpin. And Harlan's taking off a sculpin for a guy, and they happen to have live squid. Somebody throws live squid on Harlan's back, and he swings around. He's got the sculpin in his hand, swings around to grab the squid, hits himself in the butt with the sculpin spine.
Oh, no.
So now, he's on fire. I mean, Harlan's going to kill me. And so anyway, one of the things that you do, they'll tell you to do, is put ammonia on it, and that helps numb the venom. And so they pour the ammonia on, the wound, which was by his butt.
Where'd
But
they get the
apparently-
ammonia?
Oh, from the galley.
Oh,
They
okay.
had it from the galley.
Yeah.
And it, by accident, it goes down his crack.
Oh.
And he was on fire, ended up hopping into the bait tank. To cool it. I mean, and he's going to kill me if this comes back. But Harlan,
Please, is there any video of this?
that was epic. And people deserve to have that knowledge of this epic event that you went through. And then, later, of course, Harlan, I'd fish with him because he had, he got into the boats and he actually bought the boat that one of the boats that we started on was the old Champ, which turned out later on to be the Galley, and they had a number of lines, and Harlan had it, had that boat. But yeah, I've known Harlan since he was a little kid because his dad fished with us.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, good stuff. And Mackie says, "Rest in peace, bait." After he jumped in there with all that ammonia and everything else on him. Yeah, that is for sure, Mackie.
Yeah.
Great question. Jeff Lingle is joining us. Jeff, so great to have you with us. Thank you for all the great info you sent our way. Jeff's the guy that found that yellowfin down below. He said, I was just listening, and he says, on all our rods, we use mono on all rods, Spectra and Fluoro. It works twofold as they do not see it as well. And I think, more importantly, it adds stretch to limit pulled hooks.
That's true too. You have that cushion, or you could build that into your rods too. But like with myself, I have to have that because I'm fishing straight graphite, and you don't have as much elongation, and the recovery is so quick on the graphite. You need a little give. You can do that by implementing that mono.
Excellent stuff, Jeff. Danny, thank you so much. Hit that like button. Big raffle tonight. Send Chuck a text. You got a few more hours to jump in on this and win one of these two beautiful rods that are going to be given away live tonight on Tackle Shop Confessions. Albert Roy joins us. He says, hey, everybody. Hey, Albert, good to have you with us, my friend. How's it going? Albert Roy here. I can tell why those bluefin are not biting. Last year, they shut off at the same time for a week during the lunar full moon. We say it is Mother Nature and you can't predict, but it's been pretty regular this year, Danny, where we get to the full moon and they go off to bite.
And one thing about bluefin, The minute we mention stuff like this,
Yeah, right. That'd be
the minute
full speed.
they're going to go, we're going to make you eat your words. So it changes.
Well,
But just be cognizant of all the different things that you could do. But you just don't know, because you could have the best bite of your life. And I've seen that.
Let's be candid about this. So
Yeah.
we're at the full moon. We're only 2 days after the full, if I have this right. And the Aztec had limits of bluefin tuna right now. So you can say we're still under the influence of full
Okay.
moon, and it's biting.
I didn't want to mention this, but this is one of the key things when I was big bass fishing. My key times to fish were doing the entire full moon stage. I would fish 7 days in a row during that period of time. And yeah, you're going to have tough days, but for some reason, the movement on those real big, the trophy fish over 10 pounds, that's a secret. By listening today, I'm giving out that I don't recall mentioning before, but that was part of the thing.
All right.
A lot of it.
Breaking news.
A lot of it was a lot of fishermen had that thing where they didn't want to fish on the full moons. So guess what? When they're not fishing, that's less pressure on the lake.
Yes.
So they're also pressure sensitive too. So maybe that corresponds with it too. But that was the big time of for me, where when I logged all my fish, it had to do with the moon phase. But I mean, when it was on, I was fishing a lot anyway. I'd be fishing 20-something out of 30 days in the month, if the bite was on. And that was mainly in the spring, January, February, March. But it goes up and down and goes back into April sometimes. But, it's, I'll let you guys figure it out. I'm telling you a few things that'd be very helpful. But, I don't know that a lot of you would fish on the full moons, but I fished through I'd fish a 7-day stretch sometimes.
All
during the
right.
full moon. So.
Perfect. Good stuff. Albert Roy says, my buddies are on the Vagabond for a 3-day trip. They got shut down on the bluefin tuna. They got back yesterday. Put the white maybe they caught a bunch of white sea bass, Albert? Is that what you're saying there? Robert Brashaw. I guess that's one way to cure the bait. Your guy, Harlan, jumping in the bait tank. That certainly is. There's no doubt about it. Once again, Aztec limits of bluefin tuna. Moments ago, just called into the show here to let us know. Captain Justin. Thank you, Justin, for the update. We really appreciate it. The Cranker is in the house. He's at Trader Joe's. He wants to know if you need anything from Trader Joe's.
Oh, no, I'm good.
I'll take a couple ribeyes.
We need a small cake and some.
Oh, yeah. We need a small cake and some candles for David Rosenthal's birthday. We'll see you over there at Tackle Shop
cool,
Confessions.
cool.
Unless, Mike, this is just a bluff and a joke, a cruel joke that you're playing on us here. You and that filthy Scott Bugert who do these cruel jokes all the time. If it's not, then we'll see you over there. Susan Sosa is one of the most lovely people you could ever meet. Susan, thank you so much for being with us. Hello, Phil. Danny checked in with Taka today. He was checking for the fleet on a website, and all the boats are really spread out hunting for bluefin tuna. I hope they'll be hungry soon. They're hungry right now.
Oh,
Aztec
good deal.
limits of bluefin tuna. Hopefully that's going to spread to the fleet. Hopefully, Susan, it's going to bite tonight. I, of course, will be watching that very, very closely. New moon, full moon, says Robert Brashaw. Susan Sosa, I'll be on an Iser Line 3-day on the Searcher. I'd love some yellowfin tuna. That would be great. Although those fish have been a little bit on the smaller size. Hopefully there's going to be some more YFT that move in here. That would be great, Susan. We'll be hoping you can accomplish that angling feat. I heard solar eclipse fishing is easy limit, says Mackie. Mackie's playing around out there.
Yeah, never easy about anything with fishing. You just have to be there at the right time.
Jeff Lingle says you're full
Yeah.
of spit, Mackie. How's that? Thank you for joining us for the Danny Kadota Show. We're doing just a little bit of chit-chat about fishing. And by that, I mean a little chat and a whole lot of chit. Danny, you were going to say
Well,
something.
no, you mentioned Taka in there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something.
Susan mentioned it.
One of these days, we
We've
ought to
been
go out
promising
there
that.
and we ought to coordinate it where we have Butch Brown, Jimmy Lou, there's Corky Yoko. These guys are all world record holders.
Mm-hmm.
Great, and just great fishermen. Look at Butch. Not only a long range guy, but as a bass guy. nobody. I don't think anybody's caught as many big bass as Butch, legitimately. And he's still doing it. But and Corky, Yokoi, and these guys are all innovators on tackle, on everything. And they always have been. And it'd be great one day. Maybe we ought to do a show there.
We
and
should.
You go from there to.
We've been threatening
to
that for a long
yeah,
time.
we need to do this. So I'll talk to some guys. But the Jimmy Lou's and these guys that are just absolutely icons as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I had the pleasure of fishing with them and then fishing with us on the Mustang and all those guys. And just the wealth of knowledge that, guys come up to the wellhouse and we could be chasing tuna and you're up there with, Butch or Corky or Jimmy Lou, and you're talking about other type of fisheries. And there's so much that's learned, from the experience of all these guys. I was very blessed to be around such great fishermen.
Yeah.
And that's what adds to your repertoire was all these other people that we grew up with. A lot that were in Tacos, but the Jimmy Lou's, like I said, the Corkies and the Butch Brown, all those guys, they were all regulars over there. So, there's so much knowledge that came out, and that's what makes these, fishermen what they are.
Yes. Danny, I have a question for you. This is something that I've encountered many, many times on a boat. When you're part of the crew, you're working your tail off, especially you up there in the wheelhouse, and you're working and you're on a slow day. You can't find a kelp, you can't get a jig strike, you can't get a sonar mark, and things are slow, and your window's open, and you're up there working your tail off, and you hear passengers down there saying, "This captain sucks." Have you ever heard? I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Did you have to bite your tongue? Did you ever say, "Hey"?
No, it's
because
fishing.
it's really frustrating
it's
to hear
fishing.
that when you're working your fingers to the bone.
And listen, when you had the crew that I had, so they don't make mistakes. You're fishing and your intel's coming from a network of captains that you work with, but they're all the highliners.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to get information, have some insight, we have a great opportunity. It's just could be a down day. You just have to lump it. It's nothing.
But hearing people say that, does that bug you?
No, you get over it. You get over it. And they know. There's things you just can't explain. You can't. It's fishing. It's just like going up the lake. There's oftentimes like you're dialed in and you're nailing these big fish every day, and all of a sudden, bingo, next day, not a bite, and you can't explain it. And I was fishing. Sometimes I'd fish 7 days in a row.
Yeah.
I wouldn't miss, and same bait, same everything, same conditions. And a lot of guys that a lot of the bass guys didn't understand and didn't know there was current on the lake, so that made a big part the determination of where we fished.
Yeah.
And we were assessing it much in the way we were fishing it on the ocean. Right?
Yep.
There's spots on Catalina, or if you're fishing on a bank or something, you got to be sitting on the right side, otherwise it's not taking your bait to the spot.
Yes.
It's going away from it. So it's making all those. All the factors have to line up. The stars have to line up, where they say, when you're doing stuff right. But there's days that you can't. Yeah, you just punt. You just do what you got to do. Look, try everything you can. Drop down the lighter lines, you name it. But you have those days.
Speaking of that, I was decking on the Searcher back in the day. Got a day off, and I go, I'm going to go fishing with Bobby Allen over on the 105. He was running the Qualifier 105, which in those days they ran like overnight albacore trips on the 105.
Yeah.
And I go up in the wheelhouse. I go, "What's up, Bobby? How you doing, man?" And he goes, and I'd already looked at the scores. He had like 7 albacore. The Royal Polaris had a $150. The Searcher had a $125. It was one of those days for him.
Yeah.
I could tell. And I go, "What's up, man?" And he goes, "Dude, I'm freaking trolling out there today. And the Searcher's over here off my port bow. Starboard bow's the Royal Polaris. Freaking Frank gets a quadruple jig strike, goes into one for 100. The Searcher, triple jig strike, goes into one for 100. And I'm freaking just trolling and never got bit. I took out all the expletives, obviously, that were being thrown around the wheelhouse of the 105. But Bobby's a damn good fisherman.
Bobby's a great fisherman.
He's a really great fisherman. And it happens. right?
Yeah.
It just
Oh, yeah.
happens.
It happens. There's things. There's some sneaky things that you could do.
Oh yeah.
You know, you get up swell of them, get up west of them, and tell your crew start putting a line out. In
Oh, yeah.
motion. You know, you get short bit. You should stop the boat, fire out some baits, and sometimes you.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Definitely.
You know, but I mean, you know, it's you know, when everybody's making the stops, you want to have your bait in the water. Like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So there's different things that you can implement. But you know, we're fortunate and blessed to have the sonar, so we're able to see all of our, you know. But there's times you can't explain it. You know.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
I like the retribution too. There's been times when this used to happen. I'm sure you've seen this too, where somebody came in and bowed you or something, or took your spot. And man, I was on a boat once. I won't mention the captain, but he spun a circle around them. And then he yelled at me because we were done. Pull both chutes right now. And I let 60 scoops of bait go. And guess where that fish is gonna go? That guy's catching right now. Oh man, those are fun times. I loved all that.
There's a bunch of stuff going on.
Vindictive stuff.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Fun stuff in this business.
That's why we had big bait tanks.
You pull the chute on them
Yeah.
and let them have it. Good stuff. Hey, let's go back to some of our great questions. Mike Krinkovich admitting that it was a bluff. There's no cake coming. That is not nice, Mike. Why did you do that? Robert Brashaw, Taka used to talk to me for hours when I was a kid, asking endless questions. That guy and his wife have a heart of gold. Robert, I really appreciate you pointing that out, because some people
Absolutely.
with kids will dismiss them, and they'll look at a kid and say, what's he going to buy him?
I'm going to tell you a story about Taka, you know, and he's a salt of the earth, Katie too. And I got real close to him over the years, and actually we're part family, because my cousin was working with my sister buying, you know, groceries and doing stuff and loading all 3 boats. And Suzanne met Marty, Taka's oldest son, and they ended up getting married. They've been married for forever.
Yeah.
You know, but Taka, some of the stuff that as a human being, we'd be up in H&M and he's up there buying candies and stuff like that, right? And he has them stashed in the galley, and I'm sitting there, you know, Yogi Bear, sneaking. He's like, hey, get out of there. You know, the next day we're fishing the beach down below, you know, and, below TJ and Ensign, through Ensign out of there. And we'd often get pongas
coming out.
And the little kids are out there, and he would buy candies for the kids.
That's
And I mean,
awesome.
almost brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, heck
thinking,
yeah.
what a jerk am I, sneaking Taka's candy, you know, and he bought for the kids, you know. But I mean, that's what kind of guy he is. He really is. He and Katie and the whole family, you know, all their kids. They don't get any better.
Yeah.
They just don't.
I'm telling you, that story you just told is absolutely
no, he's
fabulous.
got the heart of gold. He's biggest heart, and he's also a prankster.
Yeah.
You know, so that's also made it fun. I mean, he
love
did
it.
stuff, you know. Here, okay, so I'll tell you a quick one. We used to bass fish together. He and Fred Ichikawa and I, when we first started bass fishing, we'd go up to Kachuma. And initially we started fishing all artificials before we got into double anchoring and crawdad fishing and stuff, right? So anyway, Freddie and I would pull up and we'd pick up Taka, and a lot of times he sleeps in. We're going, that doggone guy, you know. So one day the lights are all off, and I go, God darn it. Freddie goes, well, go get him. So I go up. As I'm ready to ring the doorbell, he comes jumping out of bushes. And I think I had to go back to change my pants, But I mean, and he couldn't stop laughing. So he's also a prankster. But I mean, what a blessing to have worked with him all those years. I learned a lot. He was my sensei, and they just don't. And he and Katie, you just don't get better family than the Tanakas.
Yeah, and
you
what
just don't.
Robert just pointed out.
Yeah.
Robert, thank you for pointing that out about
Absolutely. I
him
wanna
talking
thank
to him and answering endless questions.
Yeah, no.
We got to get him on here.
No, he's a wealth of knowledge.
Stop this nonsense and make it happen. All right, Kim Herbert there from Missouri says, we were on the Independence during the solar eclipse. Yes, we were, actually. I remember that. I think we saw that like we were down near Cedros Island when that happened. Kim, I remember that now. Mackie says that Mad Dog will give massages if there's bad fishing on the El Patron. I'm going to get one right now. Do I qualify? Probably not. Long blonde hair or something like that might qualify, but that leaves me completely out of the picture. That is for sure. All right, Mad Dog says he will give you a hug, however. Roger Massage. Hi, Phil and Captain Danny. You're right. I've heard that comment before on the boat. But like Captain Danny said, it's fishing. I've had my days and I don't catch what I came out for, but I don't blame the captain. Roger, you were just down in San Quintin, right? This is you. I'm pretty sure I mentioned you all over the morning briefing today as you were down there with Tiburon Pongas, unless I'm all screwed up here, which wouldn't be the first time. And you had a great trip. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you had such a positive experience down there. And if it's not you, don't say anything because I don't want to be made a fool of on the show. No, let me know either way. Tommy Tarr. That's Charlie, the Fibbers Christian Fishing Club. Danny, what are some things that a charter master can do to make the trip more fun for the anglers and crew?
Well, you know,
Bring great food. That's number one.
that could be it.
Yeah, because the captain and crew are eating the same old crap every
You know,
single day, man.
we-
You show up with something different, puts a smile on everybody's face.
You know, Phil, when you hit, especially the crew members, when they're eating the same foods every day. Now, and I'm talking. I ran day boats, so it was pretty consistent of what we had. It was, back then it was breakfast, choice of bacon, sausage, eggs. This is before we started doing fried rices and different things, with different groups, and to take care of, and innovate on food and stuff like that. And that's one thing we did. And I did it for the reason of, I had a big grill, and I was lucky to have a big grill in the Mustang. And so I started doing these fried rices that we would get like a Gardena bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my crew on the days off, we'd always meet there for breakfast before we came down to the boat here at 22nd Street or Portugal. And, I was thinking, okay, so I went out and bought this big rice cooker and we started doing that. Because if you think, okay, talk about a galley, right? You guys have to make for a standard breakfast, make potatoes. What do you make? Bacon, sausage, ham. You got all these things that you got to prep. You got to and you don't know exactly what these guys are going to eat the next morning, right? Okay. With us, I said, I started it out with my Buddha head groups, where we do the fried rice. I went out and bought this huge rice cooker, slabs of bacon, chop it up, and we had our grill was huge. So I throw the bacon, throw the rice on it, hit it with soy sauce, scramble up some eggs in there, green onions, very simple fried rice, but we called it like the Gardena bowl fried rice.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, right? And we started doing it with our Oriental groups, our Buddha heads, and all of a sudden,
You
everybody
can get away with saying Oriental.
Oh yeah,
I don't think anybody else can.
Yeah, well, I don't care anyway.
I know.
Suck it up, guys. You got it. We don't get it. What the heck? We're old school. It doesn't bother us.
Yeah, and you don't mean anything negative by it.
Yeah,
so.
we don't get butthurt.
Right, exactly.
Come on, we laugh it off. But what made sense was here. You got all this rice. We put it back in the pot, and all we'd have to do then is how do you want your eggs? Over easy, sunny side up, scramble, boom, and you're out. And we would we'd finish that whole 25 cup deal. I mean, it was unbelievable.
That's awesome.
So we innovated in starting that because before you knew it, it wasn't just the Japanese groups that everybody wanted it. So that even on some of the long range boats, I know like one of the days on my 8-day trip, usually they'll have a fried rice one morning. But it makes sense because, to think about having to choose between bacon, sausage, you got all these different varieties of things that you have. If you give a guy a choice rather than have a set menu, it's a nightmare.
Oh,
Because you could be in that galley doing breakfast till 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's brutal.
Yeah.
This way, we knock it out early in the morning, it stays in this big rice cooker, stays hot. You could have it all day if you want. But I mean, it made it easy. And before you knew it, everybody wanted it,
There you go. Charlie, get a rice cooker on your
There you
next
go.
charter and bring it out.
That's where it started from.
That'll make everybody happy.
We started a long time ago. That was in the, yeah.
We're running out of time here, believe it or not. Man, we're almost done an hour here. We got a few more minutes to go. If you have a question, please make sure you chime in while there's time. Susan Sosa says, if anyone is looking for an honest tackle store, stop by Taka's Tackle in Anaheim. He will never sell you something you don't need. His son, Steve, is fantastic with real repairs. Kim Herbert says, did you charter the SAND Deckers on the Daiwa? They filled the Galley with their bento boxes.
You know, that was Fuji's groups.
Oh, it was?
And
Okay.
then, and then George Mio also had, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a lot of Buddha heads there too, yeah.
Well, Mackie, we're not going in. Do you want to give Mackie a recipe for the rice cooker?
Very simple for everybody. Well, it's funny, I did it yesterday because
Yeah.
we had a bunch of leftovers on a party we had. And what we do is you get bacon, slice it into about 1-inch strips. So I use a whole pound because I usually make them when we have a lot of people, Fry it all up. And then you have your rice in a cooker. You could have it fresh, or initially it was made for the day after. If you had leftover rice, you do this. But I mean, I'll do it fresh, basically it's the bacon, and you want some of the oil, not all of it, but you want some of that oil going in that rice because that's what really flavors it all. So you have the bacon that's diced up about that thick, then it shrinks down to about like that, right? So you have all the bacon bits in it. I'll take eggs, scramble them off to the side, mix it in there. Right after the bacon, I put some of the oil, the bacon oil, in there with the rice, and I hit it with soy sauce, Kikkoman, right? And you can use the light too, the little less sodium. And then mix it all up, scramble eggs, throw that in there, and it's so simple. And then dice up green onions and throw that in, and bingo, you're done.
There you are, Mackie. You got 10 minutes to get that ready for Tackle Shop Confessions tonight.
But that's what
Jump into action there.
That's what started it all.
That sounds great.
Oh, yeah, but and it makes sense, right? Because the rice is ready. All you got to do if you want 2 eggs over easy is then we do the eggs to order, throw it on top of the rice, and bingo, man, you got a happy camper.
Beautiful.
So that's where that started from.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Jerry here at 22nd Street Landing has a 2-day charter, and it departs August the 27th on the Amigo. He's got 2 spots that just opened up. Call 22nd Street Landing. Ask for Jerry if you want to scoop those up. 310-832-8304. Jeff Lingle. Danny, do you scramble the eggs in bacon fat?
Well,
I do.
we would put it on the grill, whatever's there,
Yeah.
and then we just mix it all in with the rice and then green onions to top it, mix it, and you hit it with soy sauce too, so the rice gets a little colored.
Beautiful.
You don't soak it, but you hit it pretty good.
I'll tell you.
Mix it all up.
I'm going to give you a little Friedman Adventures family story that just happened, Danny. And I think you might enjoy this also. So my wife's immigration lawyer, George Feldman, calls me up on Thursday. And George is a guy who goes with me to Mexico. Uh-huh. He takes care of some orphanages down there, one in particular. He takes care of this orphanage. And so while we go, Anthony and I will be out getting content, George goes to Smart and Final, drops $500, and takes all that food out to the orphanage. And he's a great guy, wonderful human being. And so he does that every single time we go down there. He does that. So he calls me on a Thursday and he says, "I don't think you can pull this off, but if anybody can pull it off, maybe you can pull it off." The pastor of the orphanage's father just passed away a couple days ago. They need a boat out of Ensenada Saturday morning to put his ashes out. Oh. And, how can anybody do that in a foreign country? I don't know, but I thought of you. I go, well, give me 10 minutes. I call Paulina, who's my co-host in Mexico. I call her mother, Berenice. I said, Berenice, we need a boat to spread ashes. We need a boat that will hold 15 people. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. George is going to pay for it. Can you pull that off? Oh, yeah. You got a boat? Tell everybody to be here at 8 o'clock. Done deal. Slam dunk. Perfect. How much does George need to send you, or can we bring it next time? Not a cent. I wouldn't take 1 cent.
Wow.
This
that's
is
awesome.
on me. And so I got to be the hero, but Berenice really is the hero. And George, they got to do the burial at sea. Everything turned
Right
out
outside Todos
beautifully.
Santos there?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Turned out
How-
beautifully.
How awesome is
So,
that? Yeah.
God bless you, Berenice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Really,
That's
really
so cool.
appreciate it. George, thank you for all you've done for my family and all you do down there in Mexico when we go down there. I know Anthony's seen it. I've seen it. It's great stuff, no doubt about it. A simple cheeseburger, Albert Way says, is a good breakfast. Ask Jimmy Peterson. Oh, I know Jimmy Peterson.
That's where you got the nickname Cheeseburger.
Exactly. He was the cheeseburger king. Remember, I was on the Sport King. I ate nothing but cheeseburgers all day long. It's me, Phil, and I did see the morning briefing. Yeah, that great trip you had down there in San Quintin. That's great. Chibo says maybe Danny can make it on next week's show. I'll stop by. Now you got to make your rice dish here.
Bring you this.
Can you do it?
Sure, I think so.
Shoot, man, I can eat everything in that but the rice.
I'm gonna bring some blue perch for you guys to eat.
Blue perch, yes, we
Perch.
definitely want that.
Remember we were talking about that the other day?
Yeah, crapper snappers. We want to see how that is. Hey, we are out of time, everybody. Remember, Tackle Shop Confessions tonight. There's the number. You have till 7 o'clock, 7:30 to buy your tickets and win a beautiful Z Custom rod tonight. Danny, it's been another fun show.
Awesome,
Ton of
senor.
people watching. Say goodbye to your fans.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
God bless
See you
everybody.
next week. Yeah.
See you for the morning briefing tomorrow
Yeah.
morning and the big raffle, 6 p.m. tonight, live on the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel, Tackle Shop Confessions. Thanks, everybody. Great job, Danny.
All right, Phil.
All right.